Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
Welcome back to Podcast 102 of 2024. I'm your host, Kiev. You can follow me on Twitter at OBKiev. Follow us to the Odds Breakers. Follow us on social media / the Odds Breakers. This episode is being brought to you by mybookie.ag. For an up to $1,000 sign-up bonus, please visit this podcast description. Clicks the link, terms, conditions, and location apply. If you'd like to support the Odds Breakers and benefit from our premium plays, please visit theoddsbreakers.com. Click to become a member. Pick any of our winning cappers. Use your premium plays before the line moves. You can also support us on patreon.com. And if nothing else, please visit our website, theoddsbreakers.com, and become a free picks and Telegram subscriber. Hope you guys are having a wonderful week. Just covered a lot of college football with Josh yesterday, and now it is time for some NFL. And if you still want any of our packages, promo code basketball 2025, $100 off, baby. Football is only $200 this year. So you can have the rest of the season for $200 or all of college basketball for $150 all the way through March Madness into April. So hell of a deal over at theoddsbreakers.com. And you can also get our guaranteed monthly packages if you like as well. So, hey, awesome day yesterday in basketball. I had to sweat that under. Maryland versus Ohio State. It was 50-17 at halftime. And I was wondering if Ryan Day was coaching Ohio State's basketball team last night. But I had the under, and it was at 148. And I actually had to sweat that thing out because it went all the way up to 141, which was unreal because Maryland just kept scoring. But Ohio State, they sped up at the end. You know, they just wanted to try to catch up, so they sped up. And I was a little nervous because I was like, seriously, is Maryland going to put up 100 here? Thank God Maryland really slowed it down with 6 minutes left. But that's how college basketball is. You just try to get the best of the number. I believe the thing closed at 146 or 145 and a half. So we've been on the right side of our line moves, and we're profitable so far in college basketball, which is all we can ask for. So, NFL Week 14, lots of craziness going on in the NFL. We have 6 buys, 6 teams on bye, so we have 3 less games. These spreads are all over the place. They're very tough from a teaser, I should say, perspective. No Wong really availability. There's like maybe 1 or 2 that make complete sense for Wong, but that is literally about it. I mean, crazy week in the NFL, but no better person to break that down than someone who makes the odds. Raphael Esparza from mybookie.com and Doc Sports is coming on to talk about the odds, talk about the games, hit every single one, little buy low, sell high, and all that fun stuff. But before Raphael comes on, we want to do NFL ATS trends as well as totals trends. And at the end of the show, might talk a little UFC 310 because it's a massive pay-per-view event coming up this weekend. But let's get into some NFL ATS trends then for the 2024/2025 season. Starting with the stud team of all covers, Denver, with that front door cover last week, thanks to famous Jameis throwing those pick six like it's his birthday. I swear, 490 passing yards, and if you add the pick sixes, he probably surpassed 600. Absolutely amazing day for him, but he just can't stop being Jameis Winston, and that's how he was on the Saints, and basically everywhere he's went. It's almost strange that he's so attracted to them. He's trying to fit footballs through tight windows, but it made Denver cover at 10-3 against the spread with an insane Monday night game. Finally, I'm on the right side of a result, wrong side of the bet, but right result. You know, that was definitely I was on the wrong side, but got lucky. I wish I could be even in that because my bankroll would certainly be a lot higher if that was the case. Pittsburgh 9-3, Detroit 9-3. There's your big ATS margin covers. Now there's a bunch of 8-4. You got Buffalo, Arizona, Philadelphia. Washington is 8-4-1, and the LA Chargers. Now for your worst covering teams, Tennessee. We actually covered with them 2 weeks ago, so I was happy about that. But I laid off them last week against the Commanders, and they couldn't cover. 2 for 10 against the spread. The New York Jets, 3 for 9. The Giants, 3 for 9. Then you have 3, 4, and 8 teams, Cleveland, Dallas, and San Francisco. So those are your worst covering teams. Now for your totals. Baltimore, still the overs god, 10 overs, 3 unders, 10 and 3. Then you have Cincinnati and Carolina sitting at 9 and 3. Then you have Washington at 9 and 4. Then you have Tampa Bay, Las Vegas, and Dallas at 8 and 4. Tennessee 7, 4 and 1. So these teams are going over. Now for your unders teams, Houston 4 for 9. The Chargers, the Falcons, and the Minnesota Vikings, the Giants, and the Bears, all 4 overs, 8 unders. So big unders teams. Arizona 4, 7 and 1. And those are your best unders teams in the NFL currently. So there you have it. Those are your totals and ATS trends in the NFL. Now let's get with our wonderful guest, Mr. Raphael Esparza from Doc Sports and MyBookie.com. Now, I'm very happy to welcome back an amazing handicapper, oddsmaker, and longtime friend of the show who works on both sides of the window, and Mr. Raphael Esparza from Doc Sports and MyBookie.com to the oddsmakers. You can follow Raph on X at VSI Doc Sports. Man, thanks for coming back on the show. It's been overdue. You're everywhere. I see you're on shows left and right. I don't even know how you have the time, man.
Yeah, it's been a little bit hectic lately. So I've been doing a show called DTL. We're on YouTube TV, Amazon Prime, just Direct TV. So I never thought doing a daily. We all watch Sports Center. We watch these daily shows, and you always want to say, "Oh, I could probably do that." I can't believe how much work gets done because now I have to deal with producers, and we have earpieces, and the producers screaming in your ear, "Stand up straight! Don't say that." 5 more seconds because we have to commercial break, and I've never really understood the background of it. So hats off to those people who do it every day professionally, because I'm not even close to being a professional. Not even close. I'm like amateurism.
Well, at least you don't have to read a teleprompter. It'd be someone might mess with you or something like that. You're too good for that, man. You get that you come up with stuff great enough, but a lot of people do have to do the teleprompters, which is I almost think more of a challenge and more stressful to me. But I've fortunately never been in that predicament, and I'm probably never going to be. So I'm just going to continue talking sports, and we have a massive slate this week in the NFL, Raph. But I always like to ask some questions about the sport we're talking about before, and we're doing NFL today. Let's talk Super Bowl, man. You're the master prop maker, and we're going to get into some props. I thought I gave you a really good one last year. I can't remember what it was, but I don't know. Maybe you use it. I don't know. But anyways, let's talk some Super Bowl. Who is going to be in the Super Bowl this year?
I mean, the top 3, the Lions, Eagles, and Kansas City Chiefs. Those are the top 3. Kind of boring. I'm not 100% sold on the Lions. I think the Lions are going to tell us a lot tonight against the Packers because they're all banged up on the D side, and in Green Bay's probably playing their best football as of right now. And no one's talking about Minnesota, who are having actually watch parties tonight to watch Thursday night football because that's such a big game with the team in the middle sandwich style watching the game because they can't wait to see. They're hoping for injuries, they're hoping for close games. So I would love to be in that watch party with Minnesota tonight. But I'm probably going to go. Probably one of the hotter teams that we're still really not talking about, and it's 2 teams in the same state, the Eagles. And when are we gonna give the Pittsburgh Steelers some love? When you're 9-3, you're 9-3 now. We can't say, "Ooh, they're 9-3" because they got lucky at some games, and they're 9-3 because they play cupcake schedule. They're 9-3. When you're 9-3, I'm sorry, you're 9-3, and you should be talked about playoff implications and who wants to play this team. But I'm gonna say Eagles right now because I think they're the best team. Because of their defense, not because of their offense, not because of Barkley.
I love how you went off the grid and going with Pittsburgh and the Eagles. That's great, And unfortunately, I love seeing my win totals cash early, like seeing Vanderbilt going over 2.5 early, ASU, just super early in the season. But unfortunately, I just saw my loss happen with Pittsburgh under 8.5 at plus money too. That thing closed at minus 165. And the thing got crushed. Nobody knows really how hard your schedule is going to be, especially if A, you're way better than people thought, and B, the teams like Cleveland and a couple others just aren't quite as good as what we thought. So I find that very interesting. Yeah, tonight's going to be interesting. This show's going to actually air tomorrow. We have a prop. I have a prop tonight, and I just went with the rushing yards for Jacobs because, I mean, the defensive line is practically gone for the Detroit Lions. So we'll see what happens. It already moved like 6 or 7 points in the good for me, but you never know.
Funny. That's funny how you said that because I also have a prop over at DocSports.com. Sign up today, click the link, blah, 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 blah. I have Josh Jacobs rushing and receiving yards just because I needed that little cushion. I think it was 92.5, 91.5, just like that. You're right. I think he's going to get probably 70, 80 on rushing, but maybe a cushion pass for Jordan Love and he breaks away because, again, the linebackers are also banged up as well. So if he can get past the D-line, I think he can break one off. So I went rushing and receiving to get a little cushion on the side. But I think if the Packers want to stay close, I think Josh Jacobs has to have another big game like he did last week.
Absolutely. And last time he rushed over 100 yards against Detroit in a losing matter with like a windy, rainy type situation in Green Bay. So I expect that. And so, hey, yes, go us, Raph. Let's go. Yeah. So don't buy his play because he just gave it out, by the way. So you probably don't have to do it. Well, but there's other ones. Of course, you can always log it.
Yeah, there's other ones.
So, as a Bears fan, we kind of adopt teams. As a Chicago fan, actually, I should say, not even just as a Bears fan, because otherwise our lives would be completely miserable, So, I'm a Badger fan, so I adopted ASU a little bit this year. I'm kind of, on the ASU bandwagon, forks up, but I get the Bills behind me. I can't go Detroit because I'm a Bears fan. Even though secretly I wouldn't mind him see him win a Super Bowl finally, and I am a fan of Jared Goff being that he got dumped by the Rams and just traded off, and I would love to see him win a Super Bowl. But I'm just adopting the Bills. I hope it's Bills versus Lions, but since I'm a realist, I'm going to go Kansas City Chiefs. Probably going to go and win it all because Taylor Swift's just too powerful, man. She rings through my house every single day. I can't stop it. It is going through my ears constantly. I'm sitting there driving. I can't get the songs out of my head. I think she's just too powerful, and her power is going to show up in the playoffs, Ralph.
Well, I could see that, but boy, how man is she that someone else got a ring before she did, a.k.a. Josh Allen. He got engaged last week. So not only did she get a ring before Josh Allen, but she got a ring before Taylor Swift. So maybe that could mean something down in playoff mode. But, any other seas last couple of years, I would say yes, Kansas City, but they haven't shown me anything. I know they've been winning games, but when you barely beat Carolina, you barely beat the Raiders, sometimes that's just going to nip you in the butt, and I think they can nip you in the butt maybe during playoffs. I kind of like them this week, not to just backtrack, because everyone's bashing, the Saints have been covering 6 straight games, or the Chiefs. They're struggling, stuff like that. This is the game that the books right now are telling me they're getting Charger money line, not even taking the plus points. Charger money line. This is a game that Patrick Mahomes has his MVP game because he hasn't had one all season long. He has an MVP game, and the Chiefs probably win by 20 on Sunday.
Well, you remember last year when they got beat by the Raiders on Christmas, we said the same thing. Their Super Bowl odds went through the roof, and guess what happened? They decided to show up at the plate. It's almost like the NBA now. It's just like decided to show up, and that's the only reason I'm saying that. If the odds are going to be double digits to 1, I'd probably take a shot at the Chiefs. I haven't looked at that yet. Maybe that'll be our beer bet banger, but it's just like if gun to the head, how do you not pick the Chiefs? If someone puts a gun to your head right now, it's almost like automatic bid here. But I will say, I smell a prop here. Josh Allen got the ring on this year. Well, if they want to win a Super Bowl, they better put the ring on, dude.
They do, and I'm hoping Kansas City and Buffalo are not in at all, just because I would have to make just ring prop bets like crazy. I actually was going to make a prop bet today, and I actually called some books that they wanted total rushing yards by Montgomery and Gibbs, like a whole bunch of like head-to-head matchups, who I have more. Because these two running backs for Detroit are probably the main reasons they're having and all that. And a lot of books say, hey, can we do it next week? Great prop. One book actually told me, I never thought about that. Really? What do you guys do in a back room or something? So that could be very interesting if Detroit Lions are in a Super Bowl, a little extra head-to-head matchups with those two running backs, not head-to-head matchups between the opponent's running back.
Well, absolutely. Now I don't know. I don't know why they would say no to that. I'll say that that makes sense. That's right up your alley. But as far as Travis Kelce is concerned, is he getting engaged? I would say probably minus 500 to the no. But he doesn't seem like that guy that's going to rush into anything yet. I don't know how long Josh Allen was dating his girl before he did it, but I just feel like that would be a no prop. So you're probably not even worth making it.
I think Kelsey retires this year.
I do too. I do think he retires. Yeah, I agree.
He's seeing his brother make so much money on ESPN and other commercials and stuff like that, and they still have the podcast. Win or lose, I think he hangs it up.
Yeah. I think he's done. You can kind of tell from his demeanor that he's mentally checked out. But hey, we'll get to that game. But let's go to the next question about the Bears. And now that they fired Eberflus, how much?
Did?
George McCaskey still doesn't know. How much?
You're right on that. You're right on that.
He doesn't know a lot of things. How much confidence do you have in the Bears will get the next coach right?
Ben Johnson's the flavor of probably all the new head coaches besides Bill Belichick, and I don't think Belichick's going to go anywhere. But does Ben Johnson really want the job? I'm hearing that he likes being an offensive coach. Sometimes you're just not a GM. Sometimes you're not a head coach. Some people know their role, and I think Ben Johnson might be that reason and stuff like that. So I don't think he'd be a good fit. I know some talk over in Chicago. Kingsbury is the betting favorite in some shops. I didn't make him a betting favorite. I made Mike Verbo the betting favorite. I think I made him at plus 325 when I released those odds a month ago when the Bears started slumping, because I figured Uber was going to be driving an Uber pretty soon, and he is driving an Uber now. So, but I'm going to get a sleeper. And I think what's going on in Pittsburgh, and I've heard this from a couple NFL people that I talk to and stuff like that, what's going on in Pittsburgh, and they're seeing the longevity of Tomlin and how he handles the locker room and all that. I would not be shocked if they drive the whole ownership of the Bears, drive down to South Bend and ask Marcus Freeman, would you be the Chicago Bears head coach? And give him word and say, hey, you know what? We're going to give you longevity. We're not going to fire you if you slump in a year or two and stuff like that. I think that's what the Bears need, because Caleb Williams could be the answer, but how many offensive coordinators is he going to go through? Give him some longevity. So I would not be shocked if it's Marcus Freeman as the head coach.
Well, there you go. That would be some pretty big odds if you're putting that on there. They'd definitely be in the 15 to 20 to 1 range, I would think.
6 to 1 right now, Marcus Freeman. We opened him up around 15 to 1. He's now 6 to 1.
Oh my God, he's getting bad. Why would they bring a coach with limited NFL experience? Would you say? He has all college experience, and it's funny how people say Lincoln Riley. I don't want Lincoln Riley now. I don't. I don't want Cliff Kingsbury either. I mean, of course, I want Ben Johnson, but I think everybody does. I think the Bears don't like to spend money. But the question is, how much confidence do you have that they get it right? I'm going to say zero confidence, because what gives you? And I'm not sure. I don't want Freeman. I would say I want Vrabel. But here's the problem: if the Bears hire Vrabel, then I'm going to immediately lose faith in Vrabel, because I'm going to realize that the Bears hired him. So if the Bears like him, something is going to be wrong there, Raph.
Yeah, I mean, he's 5 to 1 and all that. I'm actually getting a lot of words that Ohio State's going to be calling him pretty soon as to be the head coach over there. He's got ties with the Buckeyes, and if you're
played there,
do you really want to deal with NIL, or do you want to deal with the Chicago Bears and ownership that doesn't really know anything? So it's a teeter-totter effect on what you want to go on there. But I would agree, if you're going to probably get something right in the Chicagoland area for the Bears, you have to go with him. But I think if you want longevity and you want a young quarterback and his young team, take a shot at a young coach and tell them, hey, you're going to be here for a while. We're not going to fire you if you go 3-14 next year and stuff like that. Give these young guys, hey, these guys are going to be your head coach for a while.
It's tough to do that with the media pressures in places like Chicago
I agree.
And the Jets. You saw what happened in New York. It's it's hard to do that because he could be a complete buffoon too. I say as long as you've seen him have success, then yeah. Like I would give Vrabel a longer contract than I would give Ben Johnson because Ben Johnson might be a great coordinator. We've seen it before, right? I just know fake guys, like guys under Andy Reid, like the Matt Nagy's. Like Matt Nagy is not the guy really running the offense. It's like, come on. It's just like you have to really look at the guy that's truly doing it, like Ben Johnson. You know that Dan Campbell's not. So you some guy with some brains. Hell, Dillingham would be interesting. I think that Ohio State should go for Kenny Dillingham because he can get the ball to his receivers. He'd be a wonderful coach for Ohio State. But I don't know. We'll see. I just don't have the confidence that Bears will get it right. But let's move on to some NFL. Buy low, sell high. So give me a buy low team with the corners to the market. Doesn't mean you're betting on them this week. Maybe it's a bad matchup. Maybe you kind of want to key in on them later. Give me a good buy low team that you think is relevant.
The Los Angeles Rams. Guess who's coming in town? Buffalo, who we're still talking about the snow game. We're still talking about how he got engaged. We're still talking about how Buffalo is the new Kool-Aid flavor of the week and how they've been handling business. But now they have to travel to LA and play the Rams where there's no snow there. You're just coming off an emotional couple of games in Buffalo. And you're reading the press clippings that you're the hottest team and stuff like that. Why wouldn't you have a hiccup? We haven't seen that Josh Allen game where he has 2 picks, rushed the ball, fumble. We haven't seen that Buffalo game that we've seen in years past. This could be their hiccup back to reality. Just like it wouldn't shock me if the Packers beat the Lions back to reality type of game. So I would take the LA Rams, and you're getting plus points. I thought it'd be +4 by now. It's still 3.5 pretty much across the board. I would say wait if you are looking to bet this game because it's a 425 game. So whatever the morning games look like, people will probably bet favorite and over in the afternoon games. We could see a 4 pop up. So I would say wait if you're looking for Rams action.
That's interesting. The Rams to me are just so freaking unpredictable. And whenever I back them, they fail. There's a couple teams like that, the Raiders, the Rams, and the Saints. Because what's funny is I was on the Saints last week, and the Saints should have covered that, but they couldn't. So I'm very wishy-washy on these teams, and every time I bet on them or against them, I'm thinking that I got something coming, man. But unfortunately, this is a bad spot for Buffalo. It's the worst spot because they also have a look-ahead situation to the Lions. It's like coming off the big 49ers win, even though it was more like a skeleton crew of the 49ers. It was in the snow. It was fun. Can they get up for this game is the big question. And the Rams, they have to make the playoffs. So I totally get that. I'm gonna hold my nose. And I just came up with this one now. And I didn't bet it yet. And I'm not sure if I will, but I might. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys.
I like them on Monday night.
Yeah.
I like this play.
Yeah. I mean, you got to look. The defense is kind of in shape. I mean, Trayvon Diggs is a little bit banged up, but, Parsons is back. Chauncey Golson's there at the left defensive end, and pretty soon they're going to get Nealon back maybe this week. I don't know. I have to look at it again. But Mozzie Smith's still there. They're kind of playing with house money now. I know it's not Dak Prescott, but you got some really fast guys with Turpin there. You got Brandon Cooks, who I'm really thinking about taking a prop on this week. Brandon Cooks sitting at wide receiver there. That's kind of everyone forgot about him. Jalen Tolbert, CeeDee Lamb will probably play. Yeah, man. I mean, now you got the Cincinnati Bengals are pretty much out of it. I don't think they like their coach. God, I think I'm talking myself into a play here, but I'm going to buy low on the Dallas Cowboys.
I like to play. You hit it. They get all their defensive guys that were out when they were getting crushed are coming back, and they are back. And we've seen it, back-to-back wins against division opponents. And I know it was the Giants, one of them, but it's still a division opponent. When you get up, I don't care what your record says. When you play a division opponent, as a division opponent, you're going to jump up and want to play this game. And then they beat the Washington soon-to-be Redskins again on that one. So it's going to be very interesting to see how Cowboys, and you're getting +5.5. I'm excited to see what happens on the number. Do we see a 6? Do people who watch the show, because you have millions of people watch your show, jump on there, and this number comes down to 5. I'm actually really, really excited to see what the line movement does on this game.
Billions of people, my friend. The rating is through the roof. Yeah. I hope that somebody watches it and puts some money on the Bengals because I would definitely take the Cowboys. How about a sell high team, Raph, who is a little overrated?
Ooh, a little overrated. I'm going to go to a team that's on the road, that their old man quarterback threw picks after picks after picks last week. I'm going to say the Atlanta Falcons. I had them winning the division. And now Baker Mayfield, who keeps on making me eat crow every time he puts a helmet on, because I'm still shocked that he's playing, and I'm still shocked that he's playing this well year after year. I want to say the Atlanta Falcons. They have all this talent on offense. Kirk Cousins, I'm not saying he's 100% healthy, but he's a lot healthier than the old man in New York, the Jets quarterback. I didn't want to mention his name, even though I might have to just be sucker to watch his Netflix documentary. He moves a lot better coming off the same injury as Aaron Rodgers is coming. So I'm going to say it has to be the Atlanta Falcons. I can't believe how poorly they play at home. Remember when the Seahawks won, beat them in Atlanta, and Geno Smith didn't even have a good game. So not only did your Falcons lose, you can't even eat Chick-fil-A on Sunday during that game when Geno Smith beat you on that one. So I'm going to have to say the Atlanta Falcons. I'm really shocked at how disappointing their season is. I had them winning the division.
All right. Now, I don't disagree with that at all. And I think that's a great choice. And they're probably still over. I don't know what's going on with Kirk Cousins. I'm actually staying away from that game. We'll get into that game. But I'm going to go with a team that didn't make the proper move, and that's the Baltimore Ravens. They're still going to be massive favorites in a lot of these games, but they did not get rid of Tucker. And he is not proven week over week that he deserves to keep his number one spot. They should have thrown him on IR. They should have put him on injured reserve and, said something's wrong with his knee and brought someone else up. But now everybody's grabbing kickers because a lot of their kickers are injured reserves. Nobody left. But Tucker has got problems. He's got some yips problems. I don't know what it is. I can't trust him to kick a game-winning field goal. And last week he couldn't even keep the team in the game. And then Harbaugh's got his back. It's like, why? People, go through bad spells. You can say you got the job next year, but right now we can't have you do this. He's screwing his team over, in my opinion. And I think that was a bad move for him to keep rolling with him until he can prove something else.
He reminds me of we're gonna age ourselves right now to the young listeners, because you have millions of young watchers right now who are probably on Prize Picks and the Underdog as they're watching us play right now. It reminds me of Chuck Knobloch when he couldn't throw second to first, and how many times they let him go out there even though he had the yips. It reminds me of Tucker. Reminds me of that just kept on trusting him because of what he's done in years past. And when you just got to cut the cord.
That's a great example right there. Great example. Absolutely does remind me of him. And you can go with a couple others. Peyton Manning, when he couldn't throw at Denver, he basically was just a dummy there for the Super Bowl. The defense won the game. Fortunate enough they didn't need his arm. But he was just there because of his name, and maybe I guess they didn't have anybody behind him really either. But yeah, that's a great example right there. Well, let's get into a little NFL Week 1, and we'll skip right over this Detroit game. Let's go to Carolina, Philadelphia. Philadelphia is laying now 12.5. Total is 46. Do you have any thoughts on this game?
Shop around if you're gonna take an impressive. I don't want to say a hot team, but Carolina's playing some really good football that no one's actually talking about. Granted, they're still losing, but they're fighting and covering games. So if you need the 13, which two shops have 13 on this one, see if it moves to 13.5. If not, I think it's a pass. I don't want nothing to do with the Eagles in this game, because remember last year, this is the same time last year that the wheels were falling off. Granted, I just said the Eagles' defense is probably one of the better teams right now, but I'll take a shot at Carolina plus the points if it goes higher.
All right, if it gets to 13, Raph takes it. I like it at 12 for the Eagles, though. So we'll just agree to disagree. That's okay.
None of us is passion.
None of it. It's going to end at 12.5. First time in history. It's a bad spot for the Eagles. I agree with that. But I almost think the spot's factored in here. I mean, my metrics have this should be a bigger game now. Is Carolina playing better? Yes, they are playing better. But this almost just feels like a spot where how are they going to stop Saquon Barkley? This is one of the worst run defenses in the league. My problem with Carolina is they had them last week. They had Tampa last week. They had them. And then Chuba Hubbard fumbled the ball. Now they have to get up and play the Eagles the next game. This feels like just one of those.
But they had Kansas City 2 weeks ago, and they still came back and fought well. So I understand where you're coming with.
Okay, 2 weeks in a row, even worse. No, I know.
These guys are playing for. I always tell people, like, do you play the Raiders now? Do you play bad teams now? When you're in this spot, you have to look at some of these guys are playing for contracts next year. Some guys are probably not going to be on that team, but they still want to be in the league. So, of course, they're not taking. It's not like we're in the NBA where the Pelicans are taking for Cooper Flag for Duke. Some of these guys are playing for contract extensions, starter jobs. And I think when I watch Carolina, that's what I'm seeing.
It's very true. Now, I thought the spot was bad, but then I thought a little bit that the Eagles need to try to get that number 1 seed still. And I think that's where they're going to put pounding on it. I think if it wasn't the case that Detroit was ahead of them, it would be a different situation. Now, if Detroit loses, does that make them, we really want to win this game? I don't know. But I think that just because they need to gain ground, maybe it's not a flat spot. So I'm going to go with let's disagree. I got you 13. I'm going to do 12, and you can get both. There is 13.
But this won't be closer to 14 because you and me know this is going to be a popular teaser, popular money line parlay. Yeah. So by kickoff with 13.5, we could see a 14.
Yeah, absolutely. You could definitely see a 14. So waiting on it's a smart thing. But if you like the Eagles, I would take it early. So there you go.
Yes, I would take the Eagles right now. I mean, the billions of people are watching right now. Log into your accounts and take it out because that 12.5 will not be there anytime soon.
Billions of bots are watching right now. Let's move to Raiders versus Bucks. Bucks minus 6.5. Total is 46. So I'm just going to start on this one because I'm not playing a side. And what's funny is that my numbers say a little bit more towards Tampa, being that it's 6.5. I think I have 7.5. But I'm just, in Raph, this week sucks for Wong teasers. This week is awful for Wong teasers, but I always got to do one for this show because it's like our biggest bread and butter actually over the past 5 years. But I'm gonna use this as my teaser leg. I think Tampa gets it done. I don't know which Raiders team I get. I know Crosby can really mess some things up, and Baker Mayfield. I'm wondering if he is a little bit injured, but at the same time, I mean, this Raiders team is a shell of a team. I think they can cover the spread. I don't know which versions of Tampa I'm going to get. Am I going to get the crappy one last week? Am I going to get the one that's kind of motivated to try to win this division? I feel like Tampa Bay is in a weird spot too. So I'm going to lean the Raiders side, but I will use Tampa as a teaser.
I agree. I mean, here's 6.5. This one opened up at 7. The almighty Circus still has 7, but they have minus 105 on that. So that's just telling me that they're trying to get as much action on Tampa Bay now, knowing that Raider money will come in throughout the weekend. So I agree with your aspect right there. If this gets any higher, maybe take a shot at the Raiders.
Yeah. And it could get higher. This could be another piece of somebody's parlay here kind of coming in early for your Sunday. Let's go to the Falcons versus Vikes. Vikes minus 5.5, total 45.5. They purposely want this in nowhere land. You know, this is a tough handicap because you wonder if Kirk Cousins has the nerve to come back to Minnesota and play well. Does he want to prove anything, or is the pressure too much? Or though, is he really hurt or something? Because those lame ducks he was throwing up, those lollipops last week were just easily picked off. I almost feel like he just lost confidence or something. He thought, I'm just going to throw it easy. And oh man, he was awful. He lost the game by himself last week.
Yeah, I mean, they're coming in. He's coming back to Minnesota on a 3-game losing streak and 3-game not covering streak. So I want nothing to do with Atlanta. I think the rails are off on them. And I think Tampa, who is playing, we just talked about, they're playing the Raiders. Just get a W. If you're Tampa, just get wins because you can catch Atlanta because Atlanta's going to kill themselves. You don't have to be watching the TV and see what the Falcons are doing. Just take care of business, Tampa Bay, which I think they do. We and you will get a W. I don't know if they're going to cover or not, but I think a W is in their windows. And I think Skull, Minnesota, who's watching Thursday Night Football, knowing, okay, if Detroit wins, we still have to come out and we still in the legs. We have to play them. And at the Packers, this is a big game for the NFC North, which I think all 3 teams should get in, and the NFC South should be downgraded and elevated like they do in the English Premier League, and none of those teams make the playoffs.
No, yeah, you're right. This should be one of those that, like, seriously, you're going to take a playoff spot from us. Yeah, it's, I feel like if you look from a recency, the Vikings should cover. If you look from a full season, then maybe Atlanta, but at the same time, I don't know what's wrong with this weird Atlanta team. It's almost kind of like how the Saints started and they beat the Cowboys right away and everyone thinks they're so good. And then you're like, wait a minute, the Cowboys are terrible about 5 weeks later. It's like that did not age that well type situation, right? Yeah, it's Minnesota or nothing for me. Maybe a good parlay piece because you can take the minus 240 and pair it with a minus 240 and you're actually getting plus money. So you don't tease a minus 5.5. You get a plus money parlay based on that if you want to grab maybe like a Dolphins or somebody else. Let's move on to the Browns versus the Steelers. And Steelers are minus 6.5 total, 43.5. Is Jameis Winston going to eat another W playing at Pittsburgh?
I'm hoping Winston has a good game because I love Winston. He had the best press conference in the world, blaming God's son Jesus for his picks. It was the greatest press conference I've ever seen in my entire life. But you know what? He's going to get job offers because he's such a good teammate in the locker room. People love to play with him. But the Steelers have redemption in their minds. They're still mad that they lost that game to Cleveland a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if it was because of the snow. We don't know why they lost. But this one, it's either Pittsburgh or fate on this one because, yes, Cleveland's coming off a bad loss with a bunch of picks and a short week. So it's Pittsburgh for me. But, man, I love me watching Jameson play. Did you see the special that after the Steelers game, that he pretty much hugged all the grounds crew to say thank you for cleaning the field for us when we beat Pittsburgh? He went to every grounds room and gave him a hug and said thank you. How do you never see that?
Dude, he's a great guy, man. Of course he got that little trouble in college and kids doing stupid things. I don't know. I don't ever advocate stuff like that, but I will say that it seems like he's matured. He's a very religious man, kind of like that Southern Baptist feel a little bit. I root for him too, just because he's so fun. And my question is the way they had Denver, which we thought, or many people thought, was a much better defense than we saw last week. The way they're just hitting Jetty, and maybe this was a revenge game for Jetty, but it was everybody hitting. Njoku was having a big game. The other receivers look great. It makes me wonder if they kind of found something there, and maybe that back door is wide open for Jameis Winston. So, yeah, I mean, let's just say if you parlayed the minus 270 with the Vikings, you're minus 109. So you're literally right where the normal juice are. So just some ideas. I'm not saying I'm doing it, but that is the only way I would do it is use the Steelers as a parlay piece because I don't know what Jameis I'm going to get. And maybe they're down by 3 trying to win the game. Pick 6. Could happen,
That's about right.
And wouldn't it be Jameis to do it to everybody 2 weeks in a row? Wouldn't it be that? It certainly would. It's like when you bet Jameis, it's careful what you're betting. Don't be too mad on the bad beat because the bad beat is almost part of the handicap. The Jets versus the Dolphins. Dolphins minus 5.5. The total is 45 in this game. So I played this game and I got a bad number. I played the Dolphins at minus 6. I thought this was going to keep going towards the Dolphins. I don't know what these sharp bettors are doing every single freaking week on these Jets because I don't know what they're seeing in such a terrible team. And I think they're just going to get burned again. I had the Jets. The Jets are my most profitable team because I've been betting against them almost every week. And I don't know why I'm going to stop now. I don't see how they can catch up to the Dolphins. I think this team they don't have a coach. I believe the team is turning on Aaron Rodgers. I think they
don't have a GM either.
They don't have anything. It's like, why even show up? Do they really care about a division rivalry with all this turmoil that's been happening, all the BS that's been going through? I'm not sure, but I do know that the Dolphins are on extra time off from that Thursday game. And they are, probably a little embarrassed for not showing up in Green Bay. It was more about their defense really choking than Tua. Tua wasn't great, but that defense and their special teams dropping that fumble right away, it was all about that more. And I think that they make a stand this week and they win by double digits. I like the Dolphins, especially at the minus 5.5.
I passed on this one just because I saw the Jet money coming in, and I agree with you. The Jets remind me of the Indiana Hoosiers in college football. Why would you bet against Indiana? Because all Indiana has been doing this year is cashing tickets left and right and over left and right. But if you look back, look at the Dolphins. I know they won 3 of the last 4, and yeah, they lost Thursday night. Weather, we all know about Tua and his weather record, blah 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 blah. But look at their 3 wins or their 2 wins at home. They beat the Patriots. Ooh. They beat the Raiders. Ooh. And they beat the Rams, which the Rams and Chargers don't have home field advantage when you play in LA. So I'm not 100% so. I think that's why Jet money came in. Do I agree with the Jet money that came in? No, but it made me enough to question, do I really want to play the Dolphins? You want to just pass, watch the game, study the game, maybe play some props, maybe look at live betting during the game. But I'm going to stay away from this one, betting the game whites itself.
I'm going to call that sharp, dull money coming in on the Jets. Saints, Giants plus 4.5, total 41. Why don't you start?
I'm hearing the Pelicans are playing. Well, we taped this one, but the Pelicans are playing the Suns, and most likely the Suns are probably going to beat them. We could be seeing something historic where the same city fires an NFL coach and an NBA coach in less than 2 months.
Sounds like a problem.
I want nothing to do. Now the Saints don't have their utility man. Taysom Hill being gone, his knee being shredded on the last play of the game. I just don't have any confidence in this team. Their defense looks old. It just literally looks old. And I'm a fan of Rizzy. I think he's a great head coach. He's really good with the players and all that. But you can be a great head coach. You just don't have the players. And he doesn't have the players right now. So I can't believe I'm going to say this. It's either Giants or pass. Most likely just be a complete pass because there's a lot of other games to watch in this too.
Yeah, there absolutely is. I don't know. I think that the Giants might be revolting too against Dayball, and I don't. Oh, yeah. It's almost like there's some New York people that tell me that they think that Dayball is going to last another year, and he's getting a wink to try to, not win. It's very conspiracy like, but I mean the Giants are very injured, and when they lost DeMarcus Lawrence, they were already a bad rushing team. I don't know what's going to stop Kamara this game. I'm going to write Kamara for props. I'm going to probably get some Kamara props here. I don't know who's stopping Kamara. I was really thinking about taking road chalk here, and the Giants are just so bad at home too. And the Saints probably feeling a little bit pretty rough after that beat last week where they should have beat the Rams. It's probably a Saints look for me. And you could also, if you're scared of the spread, you could use the minus 205. But I don't think Drew Lock's a good quarterback. I don't think DeVito's a good quarterback at all, so I'm really close to sucking it up and losing twice with the Saints in a row, but it could always happen. Okay, how about this? Titans minus 3, total 39.5. And I was kind of getting exciting how this thing keeps going down and down, but then I look and I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, the worst covering team in the world. I was on the Titans 2 weeks ago though. I did cash with the Titans 2 weeks in a row when they beat Houston outright, but that was more about Houston's problems. Now Jacksonville's kind of coming in. I don't think that they know Peterson's dead man walking, but are these guys going to fight for their positions a little bit? Is Mac Jones? That was a weird comeback, straight up out of the grave last week, Undertaker style. It's just, I mean, it's Titans or pass, but But then I think about my rule, Raph. I think about when two bad teams play each other, you always take the points. So I took the over. I took over 39.5, and I believe that's a good play because I just think they're so incompetent. You're going to see some pick sixes, and they're going to just kind of wean into some points.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee gave 42 against Washington coming on this game, so I think the over is probably the only play on this one. I agree with you. When two bad teams play, take the plus points, and maybe mac and cheese just needed to get out to New England and sit down and look around and watch the game slow down in front of your eyes and be a backup quarterback because he played really well coming in for Trevor Lawrence that got his head scrambled last week. So for me, I want more points. I'm not taking this. I would love to have 5 or more, but for me, it's take the plus points or pass on this one. Last time I checked, Tennessee is still 2-10 against the spread this year.
Keep checking it. They're still going to be there. Return of the Mac. We'll see what happens with him. Seattle versus Arizona. Arizona -3 now, total 44.5. So this is an interesting division game, and possibly the winner of this game is going to win the NFC West. Think about that, Raph. What do you think about this?
I know Seattle's playing better. I know Seattle's has one head-to-head matchup, a win in Seattle against this, but I like the home field. I know Arizona's probably going to be a solid 3, probably the juice be -115 when his game kicks off late in the afternoon in your backyard. But I like this Arizona team. They're still rolling with free money. No one thought they were going to be, 6-6 this year? Raise your hand if you thought they were going to have 500 record on December 6th. I didn't. I thought they were going to just be a mediocre, a team that's maybe looking to move to Utah like their hockey team. So I'm actually shocked at how well they've been playing. I think they bounced back. Yeah, they lost back-to-back games, but that was on the road. Minnesota, that's a tough place to win a game. And Seattle, division place, another tough place to play with the 12th man.
It was a pick six.
I like them bouncing back.
It was the pick 6 that got him.
I like Arizona. I like Arizona in this spot.
-3. Okay. I think that I'll write you down for Arizona here. I took Arizona -2.5. I got a little gun shy after I took it. I was kind of like questioning myself a little bit. I kind of thought I'd go to 3 quicker, and then today, it's 3 in the morning. I also like the teaser. I think this is a 1-score game, Ref. I think that the Seattle teaser side makes sense. I'm going to try to middle this one. I'm not giving out Arizona at -3 on this show, but I will say that I will take the Seattle up to +9 with the Tampa Bay Bucks. I think that makes some sense to me because really Seattle's really the only teaser leg that makes some sense. I think that, Arizona's D will give up some points, and Seattle's kind of one of those teams that you can't trust completely either. It's almost like how I explained the Rams. It's almost like which Seattle team are we going to get? I think that they're well coached, though. I think both coaches are well coached, and I think both coaches are up for Coach of the Year, especially Gannon here. I think the winner of this game probably wins the division, but I get what you're saying, and I think you can still get a 2.5. So I'll put you down for 2.5. I'm going to give you the better number because we like you so much.
Thanks. I was going to buy it a 0.5 point and give you the juice. I was going to mail you the juice. But thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Next game, we got the Bears Niners. Niners -3.5, total 44. What about this disgusting game?
This was like a complete pass for me, and not even going to look at live numbers and stuff like that because we're going to look back on the 49ers season. We're not going to say, oh, what a disappointing season like we do when we watch the Bengals play. Wow, what a disappointing season. We thought they were going to be Super Bowl contenders and stuff like that, and they just have not. 49ers have been injured after injury after injury. And after reading Trent Williams' story about losing his kid a couple of days ago, I was in tears reading it, trying to drink my coffee early in the morning. I mean, it was such a horrible story. So, I just want the season to end for San Francisco and do a restart for next year. This has just been an awful season for San Francisco. So for me, I wish if I don't know him, if he was right here, I'd give him a big hug. But I'm going to be rooting for San Francisco just to maybe put a smile on his face or maybe get his mind off of stuff because not him, but the whole team has been devastated. CMC out for the year. We've just seen some weird stuff, and I'm going to be rooting for them just for them to have a smile on their face at the end of the game.
Dude, I feel bad for him too, but this is a coach firing spot. And I don't want my Bears to win because I want them to have a draft pick now. That's the kind of fan I am. I don't want an 8-win season. I don't want a 7-win season. I want a good pick or playoffs. There's only 2 things I want. Good pick or chance to make the Super Bowl.
You should be a GM.
I should be a GM. You're absolutely right. Tank. I like the Bears at +3.5. I took them at +5.5 earlier this week. It's just this coach firing. So I think Eberflus was so bad that literally players were almost on. When Larry Borum didn't block that, I think he was afraid they were going to win the game and keep Eberflus for another week. Okay, I'm being a little dramatic, but I do really, really strongly believe, and I've been listening to DJ Moore on the Score weekly. I think he's been holding back so much that he wants to say against his coaching staff. And I think now this is just a massive spot where they have to stand up. And I feel like crap for the 49ers. I'll feel a lot better if Nick Bosa's not playing. I will say that. But I will also say the Bears are pretty injured too. But I just think this is a Caleb Williams backdoor possibility if they're not winning. And, I expect George Kittle to get his yards, but it's a small play on the Bears at plus 3.5 for me. Next game, Chargers Chiefs. So you talked about this one. Is this a play for Raph? +4 Chargers, -4 Chiefs in Arrowhead, total 43.
The almighty Patrick Mahomes finally has an MVP game because the whole betting world, the whole TV Charger spot, give me Chargers money line. I don't want the points because Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs can't cover. Blah, 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 blah. This is the game that we're going to realize, hey, you know what? The Kansas City Chiefs have won back-to-back Super Bowls. So you should, even if, let's say, they've blown out their last 2 games by like double digits and they come in this game, there's no way this number is 4. This would probably be a solid 6 if they blew out their last couple opponents. A solid 6, not 4, with a Chargers who Dobbins is probably not playing this game when now their running back is a little short of his staff because they should have, I don't want to say should have beat the Ravens, but they were on a path playing really good football on Monday night against the Ravens. Dobbins running all over the Ravens defense, had a couple passes. Then he gets hurt, and then the rails just came off for the Chargers in that game. But I'm not saying that's the reason why I don't like the Chargers, but I just think the Chiefs are going to show me why they're probably going to win another Super Bowl, and I'm going to throw up on Super Bowl Sunday because they won back-to-back Super Bowls.
The Chiefs, you keep saying they're due for something big, and it's just crazy that they only have 1 loss this year. Is this the one they get because it's a big division game and they want to stick it to Harbaugh? Maybe. Ladd McConkey, I really want him to play this game. He is a limited practice participant. Denzel Perryman is what I'm really mostly concerned about because they have not been able to stop the run, and holy cow did the Ravens run all over them. But this is still a great coach in Harbaugh too. That's all I'm going to say about this one. I think that it's 4 for a reason right now. I need to see more of injuries come up here for the Chargers. Oh, by the way, Junior Colson also might come back here, designated return from IR on Wednesday, so that helps them out a little bit as well. Let's move on. So I'll put you down for the Chiefs -3 or -3.5. No, it's -4. I can't.
-4.
Yeah, it's Chiefs -4. Yep. All right, so next we have Monday Night Football, the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys +5.5. I wonder if it's 6 somewhere. Totals 49.5.
Nope, no 6s.
Oh, Jesus. All right, fine. 5.5 it is. You already know what I'm going to do on this. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, and we both agreed on this one. So, yeah, it's the Cowboys for me. I mean, granted, my twin brother's a big Dallas Cowboy fan, so I'm going to have my phone's going to be blowing up if they're winning or having a good game on Monday night while I'm trying to watch Raw and NBA and college basketball and Monday Night Football, but my phone's being blown up by him. But I think the Cowboys stay. I'm not this Bengals team. They're planning their vacations and stuff like that. They're checked out already.
I agree. And it's everything I said earlier in the show. The Cowboys are flying under the radar now. There's a lot less pressure. They finally have a healthy defense coming up. Now, it does suck that the Cowboys lost a few tackles. And you know what? They've been playing with a bad offensive line all freaking year. This is no different than what they've been dealing with, right? Zach Martin being out's tough. Tyler Guyton will figure out what's going on with him, but they still have the same guys that have been playing all year there. And I think that the Bengals losing their linebacker is really going to be bad for them because this defense was already bad, and now they had to put someone on IR. I think it was Logan Wilson, and this defense has just been absolutely awful. And you just see them not be able to stop anybody. It's always been Joe Burrow's arm. I think the Bengals, even if they can win this game, is fine to win by 3 points. And the Cowboys, flying under the radar, have still a lot of skill on this team. We're going to go with the Cowboys as well at +5.5. And that is going to be the final play. So there you go, my man. Hitting them all. That only leaves one more part of the segment, and that's the beer bet bangers. What do you think? Any plus money things that pop up? And it doesn't have to be the NFL. This could be anything. You could take a money line on the NFL if you'd like. But weren't you mentioning one before the show?
I did, but when I read your thing, I said, you know what? Your billions of readers, or listeners, and readers, and your customers and clients, and your family members and stuff like that. I'm gonna give them some futures of some beer money. Put some, sweat out the whole season. I don't want you just to sweat on a Saturday and Sunday. I want you to sweat the whole season out. So I'm gonna go with Alabama college basketball. Boy, did they beat up North Carolina the other day?
Ooh.
They're fast. They like to speed up the game. You're getting them at 14-1 to win a national championship. Just get to the Sweet 16 and start hedging off that ticket, and you have a nice beer money coming in there. So I'm going to take Alabama in college basketball.
All right.
In the NBA, I'm going to go to the Eastern Conference to win the Eastern Conference. You know who started off really bad, and we're like, oh, fire this guy, fire this head coach? Doc Rivers and the Milwaukee Bucks. You know who's playing some really good basketball now? The Milwaukee Bucks. You know who came back? Chris Middleton came back. You know who's probably going to trade to get another player to boost around their bench? Probably Milwaukee Bucks, because they always trade during a trade that they got Damian Lillard at that time. They always try to get what they need. I like the Milwaukee Bucks at 9-1 to win the Eastern Conference. Why not? 9-1, I'll take that, even though I know Doc Rivers is there, but maybe he'll fall asleep or not show up and they'll get somebody else. And then I'm going back to the college football playoff. I know Tuesday is the next release of the SEC Invitational Playoff. That's what I call it. I don't call it the college football playoff. I just call it the SEC Invitational Playoff, because we have to have five SEC teams.
Well, it's only going to be four this year. It's only going to be four this year.
No, don't squeeze a fifth one. I'm telling you, Tuesday we'll see five, because we cannot breathe if there's a fifth SEC team. We cannot exist in life if the SEC is on there. I'm going to take Notre Dame at 7-1 to win the college football playoff. Why not? Why not take touchdown Jesus? They've been playing some really good football. I know USC scored against them last week, but that's a kind of a rivalry team. You have to go to SC in a nice sunny weather where they were freezing their booties off, probably as they were doing their last test before their holiday break. Then they had to go to California. It's a bad travel, but I'll take Notre Dame. Why not? Touchdown DJ, 7-1. I'll take that.
I love it. Why not, man? No, that's great stuff. You give us 3 beer bet bangers. Alabama to win it all in college basketball. You got the Bucks to win the East at 9-1. And then obviously Notre Dame to win it all 7-1. That's music to my dad's ears. He's a big Notre Dame fan, as well as a lot of my friends. So that would be very interesting if the Irish kind of sneak by. They're kind of flying under the radar a little bit. There's too much people talking about Ohio State's problems and Georgia and Texas and all that. So it wouldn't shock me. You know, I gave this out. I don't have an extra one, but I gave this out yesterday. I like Penn State to win their game against Oregon, possibly. The metrics telling me that they could win. And now James Franklin doesn't. So I'm thinking, I'm not going to take a spread bet on this. It's either they get blown out or they possibly win outright. So I took them at like plus 145, so.
Like that. I mean, yeah, because you can't trust Franklin. How does he have his job still? It's beyond me. But I agree. I like that. I just think the Oregon Ducks speed might be a little bit too much for them in the second half.
They do have some pro secondary though, and they always do. They had Porter like a year or two ago. They've had Brisker. They have some good guys in the secondary. So I expect them to somewhat keep up. My worry is that they got to get the pass rush. They got to get to Dylan Gabriel. So we'll see what happens. That's why it's a money line play, and it might be gone. But it's almost funny like waking up seeing Ohio State lose. It's like whoa. Wow, we're actually playing to win the Big Ten. Let's go show up. It's almost like there's no pressure on them because they were going to make the playoffs anyway. It's not like they have to worry about being the 1 seed. I just from a psychological standpoint kind of like it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a great game. I'm glad it's the last game because I think it could be one of the better games of the whole slate on Saturday college football.
Yeah, it's one of the last games. I think SMU and them are right at the end.
Oh yeah, SMU's the same time. I think.
Well, do you like any other college football this weekend?
I'm excited to watch Friday's games. I think Friday with Tulane and Army. I mean, Notre Dame beat up on Tulane, and Notre Dame beat up on Army, and Tulane kind of plays the same type of style of offense as Notre Dame does. So that number seems a little bit weird. I didn't take it because I thought maybe it was too fishy, but come on. Boise State, UNLV. I used to bash on UNLV football when I worked in the books. I had UNLV alumni just wanting to kill me, as I would say, oh, they need to get rid of the football program and put more money in their basketball and golf team because the UNLV football team stinks. Now they're fighting for a conference championship, and they could be possibly in the college football playoff. I'm all in on that game itself, but Let's face it, I'm leaning on Georgia, Texas. I know if Texas wins, and let's say Texas wins it all, I'm not counting that as an SEC winner winning the college football. Because let's face it, they've only been there.
Okay.
They still have Big 12 recruits on that roster. Now, if they win it next year, then I'll say, okay, you're in the SEC. But if Texas wins outright this year, wins the whole thing, it's not an SEC championship. So I'm hoping Texas whoops up on Georgia.
Yeah, I mean, I am too. I actually kind of like the Texas side myself. Raph, you're the best. Where can our listeners and viewers get your great information and plays?
You can find me over at DocSports.com. You can find me on X at VSI.Sports, Instagram at Raphael Esparza, and daily show Monday through Thursday because I'm not on Fridays. I do other shows on Fridays, but you can find me at Driving to Line on all stadium platforms, YouTube, YouTube TV, Direct TV, Amazon Prime TV. So it's a whole bunch of channels.
All right. Well, make sure you guys check out Ralph. Now it's time for our Refuse to Lose teaser. That is 9-4. Just like we said, at Tampa Bay to minus 0.5 with the Seahawks all the way to plus. We're going to call it 8.5. There's enough 2.5s out there. I think the Seahawks keep it close. I think that Tampa Bay wins the game. There's not a lot of great teasers this weekend, but I think I picked the best one that I could for this week, and hopefully we can keep hitting that baby. 9-4 already. Hopefully we make it 10-4. All right, now it's time for a little UFC 310. Pantoja versus Askura. Man, I got to tell you, Pantoja as a favorite. I've never been a big fan of backing him. He's minus 260 right now. Kai Askura, kind of just newer to the scene here. He's 21-4. He's been burning through the risen, but I mean, seriously, he comes into the UFC and has a main event fight. This absolutely makes no sense to me. I mean, it is definitely Pantoja or nothing to me, but, he's filling in here, and I just don't have a great opinion on this fight. I think that this should be a no-brainer, Pantoja, but something's wrong with this line, and it kind of stinks a little bit. So I'm going to just kind of pass on this one before I dive in a little bit deeper. And I'm not going to lie, I've been so busy with college basketball this week and the college football playoffs that I haven't got a chance to dive too much into this card, but what I will say is this next fight, I have to take Ian Gary. And I don't like Ian Gary. He's cocky. I'm a big Shavkat Rakhmonov fan, but this spread's a bit too high. This line's a little bit too high. Minus 390 for Shavkat. And Shavkat's got all the ground game that you need. But 6'3", Ian Gary is so big, and he's got such a long legs and just such great moves. Never been beaten. 15-0. He has a real chance to catch Shavkat. And I can't believe I'm saying this because I thought I was never going to bet against Shavkat. I really thought the only time I would might be like a Chimaev, but then he moved up to the next weight class, right? Up to middleweight. I just think that Ian Gary's a little bit mispriced. You got to kind of just forget your fandom sometimes and go with the side that you think is going to be paying you the money, and it might be worth a shot for 1 star. Ian Gary took care of Michael Page like he was nothing. Jeff Neal, a badass Jeff Neal. I will say Jeff Neal did do pretty well. It ended up being a split decision, but Jeff Neal's a puncher too. Shavkat is also a very good puncher, but he is not nearly what Jeff Neal is from a power standpoint, and Shavkat needs to get you to the ground sometimes. This is a 1-star play, and it's almost like a hold your nose in this case because I think Shavkat is probably the next champion, but I just do not like the price. We're going to go 1 star with Ian Gary in this situation. Next fight. Cyril Gane versus Alexander Volkanov. This is a rematch, and this went to 5 rounds. Went to the end before. Now you're talking about a fight that's going to be 3 rounds, right? It's not even going to be 5 rounds, and most likely going over because I think that Cyril Gane is it's at -2. It's at over 2.5 minus 298. I think Cyril Gane is a little bit more timid now with what happened with him and John Jones. And the truth is when he fought Volkov, he had some problems himself. I mean, to be honest with you, this is probably a lean for me on Volkov, although Volkov, not so young in the years, he's 36, but Gane is 34. The price plus 290 is telling me that Gane is probably the right side, but I just don't know what is going through his mind. He's been off the fighting block for some time now since he lost to John Jones. Geez. I mean, he hasn't fought since September 2nd of 2023, so it's been well over a year here. And it's not like Volkov's going out in the ring all the time, but he at least fought in June against Sergey Pavlovich, and he beat him pretty significantly, something's with Gane. I would lean Volkov in this situation for sure. In this situation, the next fight's really not a fight. Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie. Bryce Mitchell, all he is a wrestler, and that's what he's going to do. It's going to be a boring fight. He's going to sit there and wrestle Kron Gracie the whole time, and I'm not sure if he can take him out because Bryce Mitchell isn't the best finisher, in the UFC. He's a great wrestler and he wins by points, but he just doesn't. Seem to finish. And that's the big worry. It's like, do you take Bryce Mitchell by decision here to try to make that better than minus 190 or you don't? Now, Kron Gracie has only lost by decision, but then again, he hasn't fought much. He has 9 fights as an adult. That's not a lot. He lost his last 2 against Cub Swanson and Charles Jourdain, but he also didn't get taken completely out when he did those fights. So he made it the distance. So lots of questions for that one. But, that's really all I have. I think the Dominic Reyes versus Anthony Smith, I think I might look towards the Anthony Smith side. Anthony Smith's been there forever and getting a little bit disrespected on a Dominic Reyes that has just not been that great lately. So, you know what? Let's go with Anthony Smith for 1 star. Why not? I think that Anthony Smith kind of still hangs. He's got a lot of pride. Dominic Reyes has lost 4 of his last 5 fights, but hey, it was against John Jones, Yuri Prokaska, Ryan Spahn, and Jan Blachowicz. So it's not like those are bad losses. And he did knock out Dustin Jacoby just recently, who gets knocked out a lot. But I think Anthony Smith certainly should be able to dance with this guy, and possibly at the plus money here, it should be more of a pick'em fight. So we'll go with Anthony Smith also for 1 star in the prelims. But that's all I have for you for the UFC. Now it is time for
the Sharp Side of the Force.
Sharp Side of the Force is brought to you by This Season. For the best football and all sports contests in all the land, please visit www.thesdn.com/OB for a discount. Terms, conditions, and location apply. All right, Sharp NFL. Really one side that was sticking out to me. The Vikings minus 3.5 to minus 5.5. Hosting the Falcons, 75% of the tickets and 79% of the money. There's just a lot of people on both sides of these games this week, and it's tough to really say what's sharp, because if there's sharp money on both sides, they can't really talk about it as much. But the sharp totals is the bigger picture this week. Packers versus Lions over 48 to 52.5, 62% of the tickets and 77% of the money. Jets versus Dolphins under 47.5 to 45.5, actually 44.5, 29% of the tickets and 41% of the money. Raiders versus Buccaneers over 44 to 46.5, 71% of the tickets and 80% of the money. And the Seahawks versus Cardinals under 46 to 44.5, 26% of the tickets and 52% of the money. All right, little recap here. Raph likes Carolina plus 13. A little disagreement there. He likes the Dolphins minus 5.5 a little bit. He likes the Cardinals minus 2.5. And he also likes the Dallas Cowboys plus 5.5. He also had some beer bet bangers as well. I like the Eagles minus 12. I like the Miami Dolphins minus 5.5. I like the Jaguars, Titans over 39.5. The Bears plus 3.5 and the Cowboys plus 5.5. So those are my favorite plays, and I'm still sticking with the same beer bet banger as yesterday, I should say, with Penn State winning outright at plus 145. My friends, thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Oddsbreakers. If you have any questions for us, feel free to tweet us at The Oddsbreakers. Email us at info@theoddsbreakers.com. Have a great rest of your week, and go get some winners.